What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the B.M.Z. Keeping It Real podcast. I'm Berto.
I'm JT.
This is JT. We got a special guest today. Gonna go over a few things. Interviewing him. As a wrestling fan, as a pro wrestling fan, an AEW fan. So yeah, Jeff, JT, give us a little bit about yourself.
So I started watching professional wrestling when I was 8. I was bored at my dad's house one day, and I was going through the channels, and I flipped through and I saw Spike TV, which a lot of younger listeners nowadays might not know about it, but at the time Spike TV was home to Monday Night Raw before they transitioned to USA in October of that year. But I saw a wrestling match between Carlito and Shelton Benjamin. I think at the time, I think Benjamin was the Intercontinental Champion, and they're in the middle of a big, huge rival. I'm like, what the heck? What is this? So I just started watching from there, and then as the years have carried on, you just once you get that itch as a wrestling fan, it's really hard to you know put it down, stop watching it, all that, and be a fan. Um, I mean, I mean, there's not much I can say about wrestling and how it's, you know, really, brought a big positive thing to my life. Um, I absolutely love it, whether it's WWE or, like you had said, I'm a fan of AEW. But wrestling for me is a big part of my personality. I mean, I have a Malachi Black tattoo of all things. So it just kind of goes to show, how big of a fan I can be. So that's
And
pretty
then I
much it.
saw you just got your CM Punk, your GTS tattoo too, huh?
I did. Yeah, actually. It's a little inverted because of the camera. It's a little bright, but right now it's healing. So it's getting there.
No, that's sick, man. That's sick.
Yeah.
So
Uh Good.
as a wrestling fan, growing up, there was two sides to it. There's people, dogging on it, and then there's those people that like grew up with it too. Like, how did you deal with a lot of that, of like growing up being a wrestling fan?
Oh dude, I still deal with it. all the fucking time. I mean, especially, like what some of my closer friends or ones that I've, come to meet recently, they asked me, they're like, "Oh, you watch that fake crap, huh?" And me, I'm just like, "Shut up. You watch TV shows. You're into them. You're big fans of them. That's fake too. There's a script too. They're all actors. They all have one goal at the end of every episode, and that's to, carry the story on. But now, like when I was a kid, I feel like it was worse. Um, some kids, at least back when I was younger, some were into like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, or they played video games or whatever. I mean, I watched wrestling and I love Star Wars. So, um, but yeah, I think by the time I rolled into high school, I really stopped paying attention and stopped caring really what anybody had to say. I was wearing a John Cena shirt and it was bright purple, and I didn't really mind. So,
No, that's good. Like in the last episode we covered that. That's all I was thinking about. It's like you surround yourself with the people with who you want to be. Especially as adults. Like I've been fortunate enough to like after high school, like even during high school, I was getting dogged on it. Like my whole life. And then after high school, I started working, and you just meet all these new people, and like fortunately, even
yeah,
you, like even a lot of coworkers now,
yeah, that's true
a lot,
too.
yeah, you
And
just
like,
meet new
and
people that with same similarities and same, that won't dog you for it.
I mean, like with me meeting you, it honestly happened by accident. I was just showing you around site, and we were just BSing back and forth, and I brought up I was a fan of wrestling, blah blah blah, and you're like what, like WWE? I'm like, hell yeah! And I think that
Yep,
whole night, that's all we talked about.
that's all we talked about, man.
That's all
I
we
remember
talked about.
I was just yapping it up about going to WrestleMania, SummerSlam,
Yeah,
talking
that's
about
right.
Malachi Black. Yeah, you showed me your tattoo that day too. I was like,
That's
damn, dude,
right.
that's
Yeah.
sick.
Uh-huh.
And it's just the community, like the wrestling community. Obviously there's like that negative side and there's that positive side, but like I'm thankful to be on that positive side with like meet all those people.
I mean, for me, like one of my really good friends that I know, his name is Sean. Like, I met him through so I used to work in radio a long time ago. I was a promotional assistant. So if there was a promotion going on or if there was an event, I would either, help out with the event, or I'd make sure things keep rolling through. But the radio station owner asked me if I wanted to do color commentary for a wrestling promotion coming up. And this was 2017. So they're going to be coming to Winnemucca, and he'd said that there was going to be a guy that was going to meet us at the Monday Night Football promotion that we had going on. And I met him, and I assumed he was from Reno and that he worked for them. I had no idea that he was a local guy. So when I met him, I treated him as such. And he and we kind of figured, like, okay, yeah, like I'll do more of the Joey Styles if you want to do more of like the Taz or whatever. He's like, yeah, man, we can do that. So then we just kind of went on from there. But as time's gone on, like we both found that we are really big wrestling fans and we love this thing. And it's not that we were pretty face value with it. Like he and I go pretty deep with it on some of like the you know like what we're doing right now, talking about it, or the dream matchups too. It's like I'd roll in the living room and be like, hey, how about Terry Funk versus John Moxley? Like prime Terry Funk. He'll throw that one back over at me. But yeah, I mean, it's just you meet certain people because of this thing that you love so much, and I mean, I'm very very thankful for that.
Oh
So
yeah, it's a good thing to bond over and you know. But let let's talk about what like did you start watching AEW when it first came out? Like from the first pay-per-view that they did?
so so at the time I was living in Albuquerque, and I didn't have cable, didn't have streaming. This is, I think, before it all started to kind of pick up from there.
Mhm.
But my buddy Sean would keep me updated with what was going on, type of stuff happening within the storylines. But I came up and visited in 2019, their debut year, and I watched what was it? I think it was Full Gear or Fighter Fest. It was one of the two. But I remember watching it and just thinking, like, what the hell is this? Because it's very it wasn't like heavily produced as a lot of certain matches and backstage stuff is with WWE, even at the time. I mean, 2019 sucked for WWE. And I feel like they just jumped right on the opportunity. And you're seeing all these people, like, and I get they're in WWE now, but you're seeing people like, Penta and Ray Phoenix, Cody Rhodes, Chris Jericho. And keep in mind, I think that this was before. No, this was okay. Sorry, this was after Moxley made his debut. Because I think as soon as he made his debut at, I think it was Double or Nothing, it went. So
Yeah.
I didn't fully start watching Dynamite until I moved back to Nevada. So I didn't start watching until January of 2020.
And which wrestler would you say that caught you the brought you the most into AEW?
Um, I mean Kenny Omega, 100%. Um, Kenny Omega. I mean, uh, we gotta. I gotta say, uh, John Huber. You know, the yeah, that was another big one right there. But I think all in all, like if I had to pick like one guy that just just gets you and you pulls you in, makes you want to continue to watch. I mean, yeah, I'd have to say Kenny. Um, I thought it was kind of cool that they had people like Arn Anderson there because I think at the time he was with Cody. So, um, but then really there was the pandemic. So I mean, there really wasn't anything you could do other than sit and watch wrestling.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, for me it was Kenny Omega, and I've always been a big Chris Jericho guy. So I think that was probably it right there. I think at the time he had the strap. So
yeah. I mean, he was the first champion in there. No,
yeah, yeah, he was
yeah,
their very first AEW World Champion. He he had this backstage moniker where he's trying to celebrate him winning this championship, and nobody wants a part of it, nothing. So he goes to this catering area, and they've got like the cheese and crackers and like the ham and stuff like that. It looks like something you could buy at Walmart, but they had this champagne that was in this chiller. And Jericho just has this way of taking something so small and making it like just running with it. So he saw that, he's like, "Oh, a little bit of the bubbly." And
yeah.
that became a shirt. They
Hmm.
actually bought like I actually went through and bought that line of champagne too. Like that was like those were all real. So um yeah, I mean, it's just he has a knack for taking things like that and just making them really good.
Yeah.
So
No, that's something I've always liked about Jericho. Like even in his WWE stuff, like hit the list of Jericho,
the list, yeah.
or like he's like drink it in, man.
Yeah, yeah, the list. Oh, there was I mean a WCW man of a thousand four holds. Well, he's got the list, of all the holds. Let's see what was another good shtick of his. I mean, the work that he did with Shawn Michaels in 2008, going heel, and I think that was the absolute best thing that ever happened to him. But but no, I mean he kept it pretty simple. He kept these very long, drawn out, promos using these very big words, and he did that because he thought of Nick Bockwinkel, who was an AWA world champion at the time. But he'd wear a suit and he would talk down at people, and he used all these big words that just nobody really cared to notice. But no, he's definitely a true one for sure.
So what do you think of his return? Because he just came back, what, last month? This month
I think it was last month. I mean,
was the last one.
if you or any of the listeners really thought that Jericho was gonna come back to the WWE and show up in a box, he's even said there's
Yeah.
no way he'd show up or return in a box like that. Danhausen, perfect.
Yep.
Not Jericho at all.
No.
And honestly, I don't think that he ever had plans or aspirations or anything like that to want to return to the WWE. And I think ultimately it was because, I mean, we can even go way back in the day, but Jericho and Triple H have never ever really seen eye to eye. I think that they have that respect for each other, but I think Jericho's the kind of person where if he wants to come back, he wants to be involved with all these younger talent. He's going to want to have it on his own terms. And he's going
Yeah.
to want to, you know, have these great stories and kind of go at his own pace, not return to the WWE and, uh, you know, only just to be thrown into a retirement tour. I wish they could stop saying that term. It worked with Cena, and that was perfectly fine.
That was it. Yeah. I mean, I
I
know
mean,
like
Brock
everyone
had
was
his,
saying,
and we didn't even know.
"Yep, AJ Styles had his, and we didn't even know."
See?
You see, yeah, it really, in all honesty, it only worked with Cena. Like with all those, I don't know.
I
But
just think that. Sorry, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, my respect to Jericho, for on his return match too, for just putting over Ricochet. That was a
Yeah, I
pretty good
mean,
match.
right now, like the story that they have going on with Jericho and Ricochet, it's I'm drawing a blank on his group, but um, he's putting him over, and I mean, he even had the Hurt Syndicate come in to fill in as a tag team to help him out. And I get that they still lost, but I think that Jericho, like I said, he wants to have these matches and he wants to tell all these stories with all this younger talent. I get Ricochet's maybe a little bit, older than some of the young talent that is uh, current within both rosters of, AEW or WWE, but he wants to tell a story and he wants to do it the way that he is right now. So, I mean, he's gone over on Jericho, I think twice now, something like that, and he's beat him
That's
with the
been
Lion
nice.
Salt.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that one. I mean, I look at clips every once in a while because they pop up on TikTok, but
can't get away from it.
as in like watching an actual match, I think the actual match I've seen was and I really liked this match was Daniel Bryanson versus Will Ospreay. That was a
Dude,
good match. That was a
dude.
really good match.
Like, I mean,
Or any
AEW right
strict
now is
matches.
100%. I mean, that
Yeah.
match was great. Like, they had each other's number. And I know Brian Danielson's kind of at a point in his career where he's kind of like he's not retired, but he's gonna come back at his own pace, on his
Yeah.
own speed. Um, if you want a really really good match, it's Kenny Omega versus Brian Danielson on Dynamite. They actually went the full time limit distance. Like it went to a draw. And
Oh yeah.
as soon as the bell rang, they couldn't even touch because the crowd was just going nuts. Um, of course, that was when, in my personal opinion, AEW was in way better waters. Um, that stretch from 2019 all the way to August of 2022, they were like number one. I get that Cody went back to WWE and he returned at WrestleMania and all that, but that was stuff written all over the wall. It was just a matter of when. But they were they were they were top dogs, and I think that for me, that what set them back so far, and you know me, I'm a huge CM Punk fan. I think what set them back ultimately was that fight between Punk and the Elite. And I think that the way that Punk handled it and the way the Elite handled it, both could have gone about it a little bit better. But they even showed a statistic where when Tony Khan came on Dynamite and he announced that he terminated CM Punk for cause, they saw a 600,000 drop. Yeah, it was bad. And at that point, like, if your viewership starts going down, there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to want to show up to your live events. So then they went from having these big, huge AEW Dynamites where, like, in the 90s, it was like Nitro selling out the Georgia Dome to really small and scaled back to where the ramp used to be super far, and now it's like, here's the entrance, there's the ring.
Yeah.
And I think right now they're doing it great. They did scale back. They went back to the drawing board. They stopped shooting themselves in the foot on stuff that happened in the past, and they're learning from their mistakes. And right now they're starting to pick up that momentum and that speed as far as like the trend on their viewership. It hasn't dipped, it hasn't faltered, nothing. It's just slowly getting there. It's slowly getting there. Um, I don't think that, and we can even talk about this too, but any of the talent that just got released. I mean, I get that Malachi Black was former AEW, but he was also former, WWE as well. I really don't see or anticipate him coming back.
Yeah.
So,
So back to that CM Punk, when they terminated and all that. I know, like a few weeks later, they decided to release the actual footage and talked about it. What do you think that made it worse
oh
than
man.
or do you think they should have just left it as it is and not
Well,
come back to it?
I think that if I'm correct, it was after a while, and this was when the Young Bucks started to come back on the TV.
Mhm.
But when they announced that they were going to show that backstage footage, I literally saw that and I was like, "You're kidding." It was like finger poke of doom between Hogan and Nash in WCW, and because it was so controversial, and they're lucky Punk didn't go after them legally for something like that again, because I mean it's his likeness, it's his image on live TV. I felt like like I mentioned, they were learning from their mistakes. They weren't shooting themselves in the foot anymore or anything like that. That right there was what I was meaning by them shooting themselves in the foot. Like they made it worse on themselves. And it didn't benefit anything. It didn't help with the storyline. Even at the time, like I was following that whole thing with the Bucks, and I forgot who they were in a rivalry with, but it just that left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And it did for me too, to where it's like, guys, like I love watching your guys' show. It's like, really? It's like Triple H going on Monday Night Raw saying, "Hey, don't turn into those other guys on Wednesdays." You know, it's
Yeah.
just there's no need. Everyone knows there's no elephant in the room anymore. But yeah,
So I know
I
there's a lot of I see it on Twitter and everything a lot where AEW likes to, and I know WWE has done it before too in the past, where they like to reference the other company or WWE or do you think that they do it a lot? I know I haven't seen it in a while anymore, but
well, I mean, bringing like a that stretch between 19 to 22 for AEW. I think that they were only taking shots at WWE because they were giving them the door cracked open this much for them to do that. And I think in wrestling, you give a wrestler an inch on another TV, they're going to take that and they're going to make 10 miles out of it,
yeah,
promo wise. And I think that it also came down to a lot of the creative decisions that were happening in WWE at the time. I mean, their production was crap. Like you go and watch Roman come down to the ring while everyone's doing this. They decide to show a big 3D image of him because they think there are people watching it with the Oculus or whatever it's called.
yeah,
Um, I feel like it's like, okay, if if there's another wrestling company jabbing at you on their airtime, you're probably doing something wrong.
yeah,
But right now, like as far as like WWE, I mean, they're trying everything that they can to compete and stay at number one. Like they only did WrestlePalooza to compete with All Out.
Yeah, I
That
remember
was
that.
the only reason
Hmm.
why. And they brought back AJ Lee for that. And it
Yeah,
sucked. 100%. I think it was great that they brought back AJ Lee. Um, I think it was cool seeing an old face, but it's not a surprise anymore. And it just, as wrestling fans, like, you want to be surprised. You don't want to immediately see on the dirt sheets that Paige is coming back to WWE before WrestleMania.
yeah.
So,
No,
because so you were there at WrestleMania. Do you think the reaction that she got there could have been louder if it had been a complete under wraps surprise?
it would have definitely been louder. It was loud. I'll give it that. It was really loud. But I feel like, yeah, like you said, if those dirt sheets, if there wasn't, if that element of surprise was still there, everyone would get nuts. Everyone got nuts. I know the people right next to me, they were the whole night. They were like, "Oh, I heard Paige signed with WWE again. I heard she's coming back tonight." And you know that when you're trying to be surprised, like you said, that element of surprise is just not there when you've already figured, oh, Nikki Bella is injured. She's not going to be in WrestleMania. She's not going to compete, and Paige is going to replace her. Like
I mean,
that whole.
sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
So I think that whole thing with Paige coming back in the middle of that match, that was cool. That was awesome. I think that Lyra Valkyria should have pinned Paige, and they should have walked away with the tag titles. Because
Yeah,
I think that it would, because at that point you're opening up the door for a potential big story between someone who's young like Lyra, someone who is just returning, you know, with Paige, and she's healthy and staying healthy. Um, that could be good. That could be really good business. I didn't think it was a good idea for them to um, put the belts on them.
I
I'm
mean
not sure if you saw the image of um, Bailey walking back up to the ramp, but
it is.
she's pissed.
It was pissed. Yeah.
Yeah. And normally that walk to the ring, like some fans, or not some fans, some wrestlers will go along the side and, you know, they'll acknowledge the fans that are along the guardrail and all that. They won't take the ramp to the back. They'll take the side to the back. Yeah, Bailey didn't do it. I'm not surprised if she didn't stick around for the entire event.
Yeah.
So,
No. So I don't know how you feel about returning superstars coming back and immediately winning the titles like Paige did. But how did you feel when? And I know this is a lot of people have different opinions, but how did you feel when the Hardy Boys came back at WrestleMania 33 and won the titles?
oh,
Do
dude,
you think it? Do you think it
dude,
should
that
have been
was.
like something like that, or like
I
they
mean,
could have?
the thing with that at the time though is, um, it was such a surprise. Like, I get that there were the delete chants going out
Mhm.
throughout the entire crowd, and it's a good point you brought that up because a lot of people forget about that. I personally forgot about that, but I think you need to take a look at the tag team division at that time. I mean, yeah, you had Enzo and Cass, you had the Good Brothers. Who else was in that match?
Uh, the Good Brothers. It was Sheamus and Cesaro, no? Were they on it?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
were in it,
This
right?
is when
Okay.
Sheamus had the hawk, right?
Yeah, when he still had the
Yeah.
Hawk.
hmm So you got to think and look at the depth of your match card through that, and I think it made sense for the Hardys to win, seeing
Hmm.
as that they're both in a place in their career where if they wanted to return to WWE, they could. It's just a matter of when, and
Yeah,
it would be a matter of is it the right time or not. And I think that for them coming back at that time, I mean, 2017, I think it was good. That was a time where if a legend were wanting to come back and compete or whatever, um, you know, it would at least make some sense. Unless
yeah.
you're Kurt Angle, which didn't make sense.
Mm-mm. So back to like WWE. I'm gonna drift a little bit away from AEW for a little bit, but
Mhm.
so how do you feel about like this batch of up and coming superstars that were brought from NXT, like Obafemi, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and recently we got who was it? JC Jane, Sol Ruka,
Blake
Ethan
Monroe.
Page, Blake Monroe, Ricky Saints. We're about to get him to debut.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Hendry, on
Joe
the main
Henry.
roster too. I mean, I am all for it. I just don't. I didn't think it would be this quick.
Yeah,
Because like the list that, yeah, at least for me at the time, like whenever someone was coming from NXT to the main roster, there was only a few, and your list went from being something like this to like freaking, and it was a list of all these people from NXT. It's like I get that there's the performance center, but you just gutted your roster. So I feel pretty good about it. Um, I think someone like Sol Ruka, that's someone that belongs on Raw. Blake Monroe, for or Mariah May for some. Uh, I think that her being on SmackDown was the right choice too. Obafemi is going to the edge of the universe, and he's gonna find himself another galaxy, and he's going to you know take the next place when people like Roman, people like Punk, people like Rollins, who's been around since 2012, you know, those people when they decide to hang it up for good, when they decide to hand the keys over to someone new, I think they're pretty safe with Obafemi.
yeah,
Like when I was there in Sacramento with my wife Megan, like we were listening to his promo and it was so loud to where you could barely even hear what he had to say. Like I had to go like this to really hear
yeah,
and listen to him. And I haven't told her. I'm like, I've got to listen to this back. This is good,
yeah. You should have seen his WrestleMania entrance, man. Everyone, even including myself, I posted on TikTok. I was like, I felt
dude.
like a little kid, man.
It's just
No,
I've never seen somebody be so you know welcome with open arms to the WWE universe that isn't like crammed down your throat
yeah,
type deal. The way that he was brought on was very authentic. Uh, what John Cena did for his final pay per view, that Saturday night's main event, where have he wanted to have all these young and upcoming people from NXT have these exhibition matches. I mean, Femi, that was the perfect person to slot for that.
yeah,
Um, Ricky Saints, I mean, so Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, Blake Monroe, Joe Hendry. These are four people that have already, solidified themselves and been on, network television already. Joe Hendry, obviously social media had a big, big, huge part of him blowing up and exploding all over the place like he has. Um, but yeah, it's cool. And I think that it's nice to see new faces being added in, but I wouldn't necessarily slot them into a category where they went through like a developmental like Sol Ruka or Obafemi
Mhm.
or I mean, who else did you say? Javon Evans?
Javon Evans,
Dude,
JC Jane.
I love Javon Evans. I love him.
dude.
I think he's great. He reminds me a lot of Kofi Kingston. Um, maybe not the wrestling background sense, but he reminds me of Shelton Benjamin too,
Yeah,
because he's just so naturally gifted like that. And like when we went and saw him in Sacramento, like we were way up in the bleeds to where like that was the wall. We were way up there.
oh
When he went and dove over the top rope and laid everybody out, like even I went, oh shit!
yeah,
Like it just, I think that the way that they have these new talent brought in, you don't have too many high flyers. You don't have too many people that are technical or big heavy hitters. You kind of have a good mix of everything.
yeah.
So I feel pretty
No,
good about it. I think that
yeah.
it'll do great for upcoming storylines and everything.
I mean, it's crazy how over these guys are, especially Trick Williams right now
Mm,
too.
mm,
His WrestleMania entrance,
yeah, dude.
they're just so over with the crowd, dude. It's insane. I don't think I've seen these NXT superstars since like the Black and Gold, dude.
Yeah,
Like
and for
who?
me,
Like
like, I've never seen a crowd, or at least for the current viewership, I've never seen and heard the crowd be so into their themes.
yeah,
Like you have Obafemi's, which you heard it and I heard it as well. Everybody is into it, but you can split that chant.
yeah.
Whereas with Trick Williams, it's just on the beat and that's it.
hmm
And as soon as I saw him show up on SmackDown, I was like, oh my God, put a belt on this guy.
Yeah. That's what they
So,
did, dude. Like it got to the point where they booed Sami Zayn, who's like as baby face as you can get.
but I mean, he's been doing the same babyface personality since 2014.
Yeah, he's been the
You,
same. Yeah, I
you,
can't.
I mean, a lot of people kind of see him as like what Mick Foley used to be, but at least he evolved into Cactus Jack.
hmm
He had dude love and everything, and I'm not saying Sammy needs to go back to El Generico or anything like that, but I think he needs to turn the gas on a little bit and he needs to, hear from the crowd and not be afraid of, getting some booze.
Yeah,
I think it was good that the fans decided to side more with Trick than they did with Sammy. And I think it's just everyone's catching on that it's getting old.
I mean you hear it a lot too, like with baby faces getting booed nowadays. People just want to see the villains. Like Randy Orton, he was getting cheered, and then at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes. I don't know if you could hear. I watched the match back, and you can't hear the boos, but like in the stadium, you could hear people booing Cody Rhodes, and loud.
It's because they don't want you to. They don't want that perception and that view for, you know, QB1.
hmm
I think that Randy doing what he did at the end of the match, like have you seen his injury?
Yeah, dude, it's gnarly.
When he came out to talk with Punk and just that part right there was just black, like black. I was like, holy smokes. I'm glad that
Yeah,
he, used to let off in the early 2000s because if he would have went full bore, there would have been a lot more, CTE
yeah,
floating around
no
in the
doubt.
early 2000s.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, so we're getting to the end. Um, I want you as an AEW fan to try to convince me, or I'm new, right? I'm new. I've never seen wrestling in my life. Where are you pointing me in direction? WWE or AEW? Don't be biased.
I think for me, like um, if I had to really pick, or I think for me, it's you can do both. You can watch both. Both are completely different, and um, but if you were like a brand new wrestling fan, all that, you might know a little bit of it. I think for me with AEW, like their storylines aren't super overly produced. Um, the match quality is a lot better, whereas, and I'll even touch base on like the female wrestlers, real wrestlers nowadays. But it feels like with WWE, and you kind of see with AEW as well, it just seems like there's so much stop, getting set, doing the spot, whereas you don't see that flow and connectivity going between those two. Um, I think that AEW isn't afraid to get a little more, hitting hard and heavy. Um, their on-screen presence is really nice. They don't over add you to death. Uh, and honestly, I'll even ask you this question: you as a WWE fan, how much do you pay to watch WWE?
I pay a VPN
Do you pay a
and my
VPN?
Netflix.
Of course
I
you
pay
would.
I pay a VPN and my Netflix subscription because I am not paying for ESPN $40 a month.
So let's think about it this way: you have Raw Netflix. Okay. You have NXT on the CW, which you need probably YouTube TV.
Hmm.
Um, what's the other one? Evolve. I don't even know how you watch that. Was it Tubi?
I think it's Tubi. Yeah,
Tubi.
yeah,
Um, Friday Night SmackDown, which you need either the USA app or, uh, I mean, again,
cable.
YouTube TV,
Yeah,
cable. Uh, your pay-per-views. You gotta have ESPN, but you need to have ESPN Plus, but you
yep.
need to have also ESPN Premium.
Hmm.
So you're already in deep this for just subscriptions. Whereas with AEW, if you if you wanted to just pay for Max, you can watch it live on there every Wednesday, every Saturday. You pay whatever your usual uh, rate is, because I know that they have different ones. But and then when it comes to their pay-per-views, I mean, they're still charging people like $45 or so, give or take, for the event, but you get your money's worth out of it, and you don't have a big influx of all these commercials in between segments. Whereas on AEW, they might have a moment to talk about DraftKings, and that ad is quick.
Yeah,
So, and I think that there's a lot more back and forth, like this match can go any way type deal over there. The the last time there was a match in WWE where it literally could have gone any other way was Roman and Punk at WrestleMania.
yeah,
I didn't anticipate Roman to win. I didn't think Punk was going to win. It literally could have gone either way, and it still would have worked.
yeah,
So, and I think that for me, it's just it is more keen to like the true diehard wrestling fan. People that watched the Monday Night Wars, or uh, you know, people that still go back and watch the old school ECW stuff. Um, and I think that if you really want to take a bigger, deeper dive on stuff, there's a lot of fans that still pay attention to New Japan Pro Wrestling.
yeah,
And whereas in the 2010s, early 2020s, I mean, it was kind of like it was they're doing this little thing over there in New Japan where Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada just went 45 minutes, and Meltzer just labeled it a 6-star match. Whereas now you can see both those people on AEW. And I get they're not where they used to be at back then, but you still have that presence there. I get Omega's kind of dialed it back after having his diverticulitis and all that, but I think that he still got it. I think that he still has potential to, be champion caliber. But the way that they have shown Darby Allin grow and progress and evolve, because he's been there since the very, very, very beginning, and putting him with someone like Sting, like I get that you have like the teacher and the mentor type vibe, but like those pay-per-view matches that I used to watch of Sting and Darby, like those were really, really good. And you're seeing Sting, who was deemed he couldn't wrestle anymore in WWE, got put in the Hall of Fame. He showed up in AEW, and he was able to get clear, all that, and it's still in his 60s throw down and have these amazing matches to where even his sons are training, and one of them is actually in the Indies right now as a wrestler
Oh, really?
because of that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think I forgot what year it was, but I think it was all out. No, it was all in 2024. Yeah, it was all in 24 because I was on top of CIPs doing a whole watch, and I'm back to the camera, and I'm sitting there with my headphones, just watching it the entire time. But like he came out with his sons. It was great. I think it was that. I might be off, but still, it's just they have a way of treating legends like the Midnight Express. Um, I get Arn Anderson was there for a bit with Cody, but Sting and just Jericho, uh, he had a couple really good matches with some old foes, as a way of I think it was something having to do with MJF. Oh, it was Judavid Guerrera came back and did a match with him. So for me, that it pertains more to my uh um what do you call it? My higher attention span. The matches I feel are a lot cleaner. They're a little bit harder hitting. They're not overly produced. I feel like that's a big thing that WWE is doing right now. Is they're um overproducing their promos to where it's like, okay, I get that Pat McAfee is in this promo and this program with Orton and Cody Rhodes, but all you're doing is just using it as a plug to get ticket sales. You might as
It's a
well
wrestling,
say,
no.
you might as well just say, if you don't want to see me be in wrestling ever again, then you can watch it on the WWE network for $9.99. You could start doing it that way again, because they did that and it worked.
Hmm.
So
I will give it AEW too. I know a lot of old heads that, well, not by old heads, like people who stopped watching wrestling a long time ago, go back to AEW or go to AEW just for that action pack. I'll give it that. I'll give them that. It is
I mean,
more.
it's just like in the very, very, very beginning. If if you really want something to do tonight, I don't know if you have Max or anything like that, but they have a good chunk of their Dynamite library still on there. Go back and just watch the very first episode and just hear that crowd. And I get that it was a different time because it was 2019, but you can feel the vibe throughout that entire building that they're not there to watch an entertainment show. They're there to watch a wrestling show. So that's what I mean for me. They're getting back on track, and right now if they stay where they're at, they're going to get to be pretty serious again.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of what they're going to do or who they're going to bring in. It's just, you know, you just got to tune in and watch. And I get that I don't tune in as much as I should or as much as I talk it up, but I keep up with it pretty good enough for me to tell someone like you who doesn't watch it regularly, like, hey, this is what's happening.
Right.
And I mean, you have all these younger up and coming stars like Will Ospreay. Like, I get he kind of made his presence and his reputation known on the indies, but he's still young. He's our age.
Oh, he is.
I think he's about your age, yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So he's gonna be around for a while.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Well, it's all about. That's all I have, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
thanks for joining us, man. I've been wanting more guests on the podcast, and it wasn't a matter of if you were gonna join. I know you were gonna. I was gonna have you on the show podcast. It
Yeah.
was only a matter of when. I have all this stuff lined up, and I was able to get you in, and I'm glad. I'm really happy you were able to. It's been a while, man. It's
Absolutely.
really been a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been a really long time, and
Yeah.
the last time I saw you was when I handed you my spud wrench. But I
Yeah.
think that it just goes to show you, and like we were talking about in the very beginning of the episode, being able to do this and being able to talk about it with people that love it, like it's really rewarding, you know, especially this being your podcast and everything, you know, doing it with your friends, people that that way you're not having to kind of like, walk them through the interview that they might not be completely into wrestling.
Yeah.
So,
No.
but yeah, man, anytime, just let me know.
Yep. For sure. JT will be back.
I'm gonna hold you to that. I'm gonna hold
No,
you
you
to that.
will. You will. All right. Thank you guys for watching the B.M.Z. Keeping Real podcast. I'm Berto.
I'm JT.
We'll see you in the next one. Deuces, Uces.
Deuces.